Welcome to Untold Lores, the scholar who read too deep. Part 1 of 4. The Empire of Varath had not seen a new spell cast in 11 years. Not one. The court mages stood at their pedestals each morning and pressed their palms to the resonance stones, and each morning the stones returned nothing but cold silence. No one spoke of it openly. To speak of it was to admit that Varath was dying. Liran Oshe had spent 9 of those 11 years cataloging the Imperial Archive, a labyrinth of vaulted stone chambers beneath the palace that held every document the Empire had ever produced. Battle, succession contract, treaties written in languages no living tongue could pronounce. He was not important. He was not feared. He was the man who kept the old words in order so that the powerful could ignore them. That suited him perfect. It was a cold autumn evening when he found the sealed alcove. He had been remapping the sub-level corridors after a partial ceiling collapse, measuring and sketching by lamplight, when his measuring rod struck hollow stone behind a shelf of water-damaged census scrolls. His first instinct was structural concern. His second instinct, when he pried the stone loose and felt the wave of stale, sealed air rush past him, was something older and harder to name. Inside the alcove were 7 iron chests. The locks were stamped with the Varath Imperial sunburst, but the design was wrong. The lines of the symbol ran counterclockwise. Every official document in the archive used a clockwise sunburst. Liran crouched in the lamplight and stared at that detail for a long time. He was a man who noticed details. It was the only thing he was truly good at. The first chest opened with a skeleton key he had been issued for archive emergencies. Inside were letters, hundreds of them, written in a cramped formal hand on brittle parchment the color of old teeth. The ink had oxidized to near black. He read the first letter and did not understand it. He read the second and felt his hands go still. He read the third and sat down on the stone floor because his legs simply stopped working. The letters were addressed to a man named Varath, not the man. The letters referred to him as a foreign mercenary captain who had been hired to suppress a coastal rebellion 400 years ago. They discussed payment. They discussed cover stories. Most critically, they discussed the fabrication of an origin myth. There was no ancient bloodline. There was no divine mandate. There was no sacred founding war against the darkness that every Varath child was taught from the age of 4. There was a mercenary with enough soldiers, enough gold, and enough ruthlessness to make people stop asking questions. The entire empire, its laws, its throne, its wars, its holy texts, was built on a story that had been invented in a room by men who knew it was a lie. Liran sat in the dark alcove for a very long time. The lamp oil burned low. He did not move to refill it. Outside, somewhere far above him, the palace bells rang the midnight hour, and the magic dead stones of Varath's walls absorbed the sound without echo, as they had for 11 years. He thought about the war. Varath had been at war with the eastern territories of Kale for 6 years. The official reason was sacred historical claim. Land that the Empire's divine founders had supposedly settled first, land the Kale had stolen in a time before memory. That claim was in the letters. It had been invented in the same room as everything else. People were dying for a land deed that had never existed. He gathered the letters carefully, wrapped them in his measuring cloth, and tucked them against his chest beneath his robe. He left the alcove exactly as he had found it. He replaced the shelf of census scrolls. He walked back through the sub-level corridors with a scholar's unhurried step, nodding to the night guard at the lower staircase, remarking on the cold. He climbed 4 floors to his small chamber and sat at his desk, and placed the letters in a neat stack before him. He lit a fresh lamp. He pressed his ink-stained fingers flat on the desk and breathed. He needed to tell someone. The question that kept his eyes open until dawn was not who to trust. It was whether telling the truth would end the war or simply end him. He had proof that the Empire was a lie. By morning, someone else already knew he had found it. That's it for Part 1. Follow Untold Lores for Part 2. Like and subscribe for daily stories.